afternoon and welcome back to Laurel Park and welcome to Today at the Races. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Keith Fustel. The weekend after, it's been a week since we had Maryland Million weekend, and boy, what a weekend it was.
I need some time to recover, but I need some, it was a great weekend to get started about the Maryland Million. And I tell you, some friends that I haven't seen in a while came back to this place, and they just knocked their socks off. They could not get over, how good everything looked.
Our camera's doing something a little funny. Just a one shot of me up there.
Kind
Keith,
of feels the way I feel. Yeah, it's going all over the place.
No, it was a great weekend, and I was happy to really showcase our product. It was excellent racing from Friday to Sunday. Of course, we've had our 11 race cards with the early post time. That continues this weekend, I believe, next weekend until the time changes.
Okay.
And then, we saw all of the renovations that we got to showcase. So very, very proud of what everybody has accomplished to this point. And boy, what a weekend we have on tap. You and I were talking before we came on the show earlier today. How difficult it must be to line these races.
They are. And the problem is, I try to be consistent, do a good job. Tough act to follow back in the day, but Frank Carulli, if you're watching, you got out at the right time, brother, because these races are just killers, one after the other. And, it's just a tribute, I guess, what they've been able to do with this turf course, the upgrades here, and trainers flocking here, wanting to run their horses at Laurel. The handle's just jumping and jumping every time you look at it. Everything's a positive, but for guys like us and you and Stan and Vinny, who helps out every once in a while, trying to handicap these races, it is a chore. But we try to do a good job, and that's, I could just sit there and just run through them and give you a once-over on the lines, but I take a little pride in what we do. We all do, and that's the thing. But it's tough. So there are gonna be some mistakes here and there, but all in all, what they've provided out here for this weekend, from a betting standpoint, boy, you gotta love it.
And big news, Stan and I combined forces to take down the late pick 5 last week, so that was nice.
Was your phone busy? I mean, was the phone upstairs not working in the press box? Bill and I mean, we need some beer money up there.
I know, I'm sorry. Next time, we still have time. But and I also qualified for the Premier Players Challenge, so that's going to happen on Sunday. I'll be joining a whole bunch of other people. They have a nice little players room that everybody can partake in the challenge. So really looking forward to that. But first, tomorrow we have a special event going on. If we could show that board, Trick or Treat at the Track Scavenger Hunt. This does happen from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. So you can come out here. It's going to be a fun day. There's a monster ball too that evening. That's happening from 8:30 to 2:30 p.m. or 2:30 a.m. Excuse me. The party continues on, and then we have the Pony People and the Outriders. They have a Halloween costume contest. I know people get really into it every year, but at least they can win something this year. So that'll be a lot of fun. Are you dressing up, Keith? What are you going to be for Halloween?
I have no idea. I'll let the kids
either.
pick something out for me. I guess they can. I don't know what I could drum up to be. You?
There was a dinosaur onesie that my friend and I purchased at Target the other day, so maybe we'll just go on with that. It's comfortable, right? You can just fall right to sleep in the onesie. Anyway, we have an excellent card on tap, and we'll get to today's featured wagers and our carryovers. Today's rolling Super High Five starts in the first race, no carryover in that, but we do have a nice carryover in the Rainbow Six that starts in the 6th race. The late pick 5 starts in race 7 on this 11 race program. We'll take a look outside to our weather conditions. It's a brisk fall afternoon, but the sun is out and just a few clouds in the sky. And look at that beautiful green turf course.
Gorgeous, gorgeous today. The sun's peeking through, just some white puffy clouds out there. Turf is firm, greened up, beautifully lush, and the track is fast.
Okay, we are fast and firm. Once again, 11 races on today's card, 12:30 p.m. first post. So we better get straight to it because there's a lot of ground to cover. We start things off with the race 1. Super High Five starts here. Also that early pick 5, which is a mandatory payout. I came up with a pretty affordable early pick 5 ticket. I had more trouble with the latter half of the card. And in the early pick 5, we're going to start with 4 horses. With the 4, if we could show that ticket, we'll start with the 4, 7, 9, and 10 for the first race in the early pick 5. As we proceed along, we'll be using 4 horses as well, the 1, 2, 3, 4. With the number 3, we're going to be singling the 3 horse in the 3rd race with 4 horses in the 4th, and then just 2 in the final leg of the early pick 5. $64 is going to be the ticket, Keith. We'll
Yeah.
start with race 1, though. 5.5 furlongs on the main track for $5,000 claimers. And we have an 8 to 5 favorite in the 7, Mr. Spaceman. First time for the Phil Schoenthal barn. Do you opt for this horse or go against?
Take a little shot against. I think we've got to use. He gets good position outside the other speed in Guns N' Rosy. I think they're going to kind of run around the turn together. Serious drop. But Schoenthal doesn't do this a lot, but he hits at a high rate doing this. First time in the barn off of a high percentage trainer. An interesting move for a horse that could run for some big prices if you kind of took it and just put it away for the Jersey Breds. Third place finisher came back to win a 75, 2 in life at Parks. It's okay. I like my team. I think Wayne Potts, the horse kind of in and out of form, looked like a stone cold winner at Timonium. Came right up the rail and just flattened out completely. The barn heating back up over the last 30 to 60 days. I think this horse is tactical enough to sit just off the speed, gets good position inside, runs by. Mediador, a shot at a big price. He had a similar type of setup. I think he's going to get today. He got a 2 back off of a duel. I think he can come running late at a decent price.
Absolutely. I used that horse in the first leg of the pick 5, so going to be using Mediador, but also the 9 Shout. And this is going to be a price, but this horse obviously took a while to get through his conditions. But last time out, I believe he might have been entered in main track only. It scratched off the turf. It was a sloppy sealed track, probably not his best surface, and not to mention, Keith, how strong that race was. You know, he's not going to beat horses like Nye and the Great Provider. He's not even going to be contentious against that type of field. But now he comes back down to the right level where he was recently second behind Stormy Invasion at Timonium. And Charlie Frock, he's been having a sneaky good meet so far. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot there in today's opener. But I think you and I both agreeing that although the favorite might be vulnerable, probably a must-use in the pick 5.
I think so. I mean, like I said, we know they can't get back to the Jersey Bred races for a while. This is about the level when it comes to open company. You know, there's a condition 2 in life, but we know outside of Jersey, this is the right spot for this horse. Let's shoot for a little better shot, though. I like the 4, you like the 9 at a price.
Okay, let's get to the second race, a maiden special weight, 6 furlongs there onto the main track. And we have a couple of horses coming out of the same race last time out. We'll go back and look at the race that Dream Your Dreams and Gimme Kimmy comes out of. And you can see the conditions of the track that day. It was listed as muddy sealed. But Gimme Kimmy, she really didn't show that much speed, but then it looked like the light bulb started to click and she tried to make a run. We can see the inside horse come out, bump her. We might have cut it off a little bit too soon in that, but she actually clipped heels and almost went down with jockey Trevor McCarthy while she was making that run. Whereas Dream Your Dreams, I thought she was unscathed, but still a good performance.
It was a good performance. She was kind of pinned inside early with the pace. She shifted back out and did the dirty work chasing. She held on okay. Dream Your Dreams. I think she's going to be forward right back in. Gimme Kimmy was stuck inside, angled out, and lugged in a little bit green from the 3/16 pole, maybe forcing her to clip heels as the other horse drifted. So I like Tis Our Time. This is kind of a horse I usually don't fall for, but I'm going to fall for this horse. A sharp improvement with the blinkers back on. A good effort against winners in the Oakley Stakes behind Rapid Rhythm. The 2-back try good. A good move into a very quick second quarter mile there. I think this horse is okay. Held willingly. The winner went off by 10. Etiquette. Just missed at Keeneland in an allowance race. I think this horse fits, can stalk in pounds.
Okay, that is race 2. A nice maiden special weight as we hit the road to race 3, going out to the Fort Marcy at 1 mile and a 16th for this open $15,000 claimer. And we have a replay of the 3, Arctic North, and nobody, he's just dangling the bait out here, Dave Canizzo, for $7,500, then for $11,000 last out. Nobody's taking the bait, and this horse keeps on running well.
Creeps right back up to 13 here. This horse got in good position early, down inside a spot I don't mind seeing. Was just a little unfortunate from the far turn all the way here to the quarter pole. Got to be seeing the orange silks. Then he has to dive down inside. I think he just hangs a little bit. I thought he was going to churn on by the last 1/8 of a mile. But yes, I see a horse I'm going to also use today. I keep going against him. I'm finally going to use him into the mix here. It's just tenacious. You know, he gets the lead. He's been able to kind of handle softer fractions, digs right in. I think Arctic North, maybe if he gets a little bit clearer run at the quarter pole and could have gotten to the outside, I think he could have kind of rolled right on by late. Not much separating a lot of these horses in this field. Symphony 41 for Ness off with his synthetics, and the horse we're trying about, who was that? Viva Lad. They're interesting users. They're going to be shorter prices. I'm going to go against both of those. I think Arctic North, like you say, he's just sitting here. He's dangling them. He's sitting in a good spot. I think he's found a home on the Laurel turf course. He likes it. He's tactical enough. He'll sit a very good trip. I think Samsonic, though, the 10, is kind of one of my price plays of the day. I thought, he's sparingly raced the last couple of years. He brings them back, doesn't drop them all the way bottom, a little bit of a protect. Against that very, very slow pace last time, he kept on pretty willingly. I think he got a lot out of that effort and can step up off of that today.
Well, that's exactly right. And as we see, Yes I See and Arctic North and Soup to Coupe, all these horses come out of the same race, including Samsonic. But Yes I See, I thought that day the turf was kind of hedging more towards speed favoring types, as we saw with Yes I See. He went out there, nobody went with him. He had the opportunity to set brutally slow fractions and just go wire to wire. So that's why I thought Arctic North's performance was all the more impressive, because he was hindered from making his move at a pivotal point at the quarter pole, and then he kept on grinding out a run into that really slow pace that held together. So that's why he's going to be my single. I respect Samsonics too, but do want to mention that Paco Lopez will ride the 10. There's going to be rider changes throughout the afternoon. Trevor McCarthy is off all of his mounts after going down a spill yesterday at Keeneland, but all is well. He's just a little bit sore today. So talking to his agent Scott Silver this morning, just saying taking today off for precautionary reasons. He'll be back in the saddle tomorrow. So if you see those rider changes, that is the story behind that. So Arctic North is where I single. I also thought Music Critic has some sneaky good turf pedigree there, and we also saw his performance going against Ocala Jim, which was a major class dropper that day. So I think that there's a little bit more for Music Critic, but I'm confident about Arctic North if he gets the right pace. Really, if he gets the right pace, or if he doesn't get the right pace, he just looks like a horse that really is the horse to beat and in form.
Absolutely. He's going to be I think he's going to get that perfect tracking spot. He can follow through. Yeah, Music Critic's an interesting horse. The two-back try behind Ocala Jim Capital Fellow. Speeds went 1-2 around the racetrack that day. He was kind of inside waiting. He never got a clear run till late. He's a user at a good price. It's a wide open race 3.
It's a fun race, and there's plenty of them today, and there's plenty of them throughout the entire weekend here, as we have 33 races from Friday to Sunday.
Now, you did something that Vinny and I were discussing this morning. Can you find a single anywhere? You found one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you did, but that's good.
Fingers crossed. I really like this horse just because I thought it was a legitimate race when he won against the Open 75. They stepped up. He encountered that slow pace, and he still made a really nice bid into that slow pace. So I think someone's got to go with Yes I See in there today. I don't think it's going to be the same setup, so probably more preferred setup. We get to the fourth race, maiden $40,000 event, 7 furlongs here. And I kind of wanted to click the all button.
Tell me you got something good here, because I have nothing. I mean, trying to line this race and handicap this race, impossible. If you can hit the all button, I highly suggest it.
Yeah,
if you can afford it.
I'm trying to see what numbers I actually used in here, but I tried to use a decent amount. I'm going to be using just 4 horses in here with the 3, 4, 7, and the 8. But again, you could make a case for clicking the all button. I go to the 3 Mo Tramp in here for Greg Sacco. Primarily because I don't think this horse is a 2-turn horse. Last time out, they stretched him out to the mile and 70 at Parks. On top of that, he showed at least a little bit of a willingness in the early stages of the race. He showed some early speed. Now they're cutting him back to 7/8. I think that's going to be the right move, and he's going to be the fittest horse in this race for a tricky distance.
I agree. And the 2-back try wasn't bad. He was down inside. He kept on willingly to the wire. Once he got outside, leaving the 8th pole against a better field, Brown Secret, we know, keyed up against great Bulls of Fire, who was a tenacious winner, Maryland Million Day. Storming My Way, the second place finisher, came back to run a 76, just airballing down at Gulfstream Park West. Yeah, I think the turn back to 7 is good. Can stalk the pace. I think Ogeechee will be forward here first time for Kieran.
That's another one. But I thought last time out at Laurel against maiden $25,000 company probably kind of took advantage of a mediocre pace, So I don't know if that's going to happen, but at least he gets that out of distance to 7 furlongs. Other than that, we have the first time start of 7 Desert Frontier, Victor Carrasco in the saddle for Arnaud Delacour. It's really hard to find a lot of pedigree notes on the bottom side. Rev de Fille was the mare, but it couldn't really find a tremendous amount of notes.
No.
I just don't like how this horse has been working so long and only making his first start now at 7 furlongs against maiden claiming company.
And on the dirt, which is interesting. I mean, this usually isn't a move that he has a ton of success with, the 2-year-old firsters. I did the same thing, trying to find some stuff. Looks like a couple of the Sibs ran in Japan. The second dam was a multiple Group 1 winner on the turf. So you're thinking Empire Maker with this, you're thinking grass. This is a head scratcher. I think it's a horse in your multi-races you can't leave out just because of the connections. I mean, Delacour's got to step it up. He's been ice cold for the most part when you really consider for him recently in Maryland. I know I had a winner the other day. But this is a tough call, tough horse to figure. 3, 4, 4, 3, the horses that have run. Gary Capps, we know his forte is usually second out, but a horse, once again, bred to probably go a little bit longer, maybe 7 furlongs is the right key. I like that little sneaky 36 work back in July, flashed a little bit of speed. Now we're going slow to get everybody off the horse. Maybe that's, and the jockey trainer combination can't even, what's that, 45% something? Pretty strong.
I know. Well, that's the thing with the first time starters this late in the season, 2-year-olds going 7 furlongs. I feel like a lot of the time the inclination is let's give them one at 7/8 and then stretch them out to 2 turns. So a lot of the times this is the handicapping angle that I go with. Horses with experience, especially horses cutting back in distance. It just gives them a little bit of a fitness advantage.
Sure. Yep.
So that's the strategy there. As we move right along, we're going to get to the 5th race on the card, Keith. The race 6 does, of course, start the Rainbow 6. The Fort Marcy at 5.5 furlongs for this $35,000 claimer. Let's go to a replay of Bushrod. This is going to be my top selection for Mac Robertson, and we can see this horse coming out of the gate. And I wouldn't say he experienced a lot of trouble. He broke straight. He just didn't really have an aggressive ride in trying to get him to the front. So then problems just arose from there. He checked on the backside, and this is not a closing sprinter, Keith. This is a horse that wants to be on or near the lead. He didn't have the ability to do that. We can see him really check badly there going into the far turn, and then he kind of just plodded home from there. He didn't really have any bit of a kick, but his most success is when he's on the lead. He draws an inside post. Now he gets Alex Cintron. I think a whole bunch of positives. I hope they just send this horse out of the gate.
Yeah, and Mr. Stream shows speed, but be aggressive, get up close. We don't know what Jen Song, another horse down to the inside, has shown speed, but on the synthetics. I like Bushrod here on the class drop, 3rd off the claim. This horse should be okay. And then that replay looked like my old buddy Highbar was in there. Oh, we're going to see him this weekend, and I like him again. He had a horrific trip in that race.
He did.
That was terrible. That should be a video spotlight if you can bring that one back.
Yeah, I think we do.
Do you have that one? Good, good. Ruthless Bay's a horse I'm going to use, a new face. I think the 9 Frisky Magician, clearly the horse to beat, coming back from New York, turning back in distance. I think Frisky Magician is going to be tough. But Ruthless Blue intrigues me a little. The horse has shown speed pretty much on synthetics, but on the turf, he's become a really nice kind of a one-run sprinter, and I like the way last time out. Now, it was going the opposite direction, a clockwise race up there at Woodbine, which they do a little bit now. This horse ran down the lone speed and did it with something in reserve. I think this horse is going to like this turf course and the 5.5.
I can agree with you. I think, a lot of the times it's hard to really have a good grasp on some of the races up at Woodbine. Sometimes they transition well, sometimes not so much, but I thought that was a legitimate race. When you win by open lengths like that in a turf sprint, you know that you have got some raw talent. So I'll be using that horse as well. That is races 1 through 5. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the latter half of the card, the pick 6, the late pick 5, and the late pick 4.
You got it.
Right after this.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Today at the Races. Gabby Gaudet joined by Keith Fustel, and we'll take a look at the Rainbow 6. Of course, it does start in the 6th race on today's card. Stan Salter, my co-host, will have a ticket for us later on this afternoon, but the carryover is just over $3,000 today, and a very tough sequence to get through. We started on the Kelso at the flat mile here, and this is a race where I thought this was kind of tough too to
Sure.
start it off.
A really, really tough race. And, can lightning strike twice? Again, I think I've got a wrong number here. I did. This should be the 5. Open the bank. My mistake there, guys. Open the bank's going to be my top selection in race 6. Pulled off a shocker at 40-1, 2 back. Stepped up and showed even a little bit more speed than what he's shown accustomedly on the dirt last time out against a much tougher field. I love the way he dug in when he got hooked by Heiko, leaving the far turn in that race 2 back. He was dead tenacious, held on, got the bob at the wire. Heiko comes back and runs a 99 in the Commonwealth Turf Cup. This is a barn that doesn't get a lot of attention at the windows. I think he's a better horse in the turf, comes back, and I think he can dictate this race.
I'm sticking with speed types in here too. We're on the same boat because I respect Open the Bank here. If I was playing the pick 6, I'd use him. I also like Tap Key, just given he's got a little bit of tactical speed. He doesn't have to be so slow. And Jamie Ness got off the duck last weekend, so the floodgates are open. He's probably going to turn things around very quickly. Again, I just like how these 2 horses run. Open the Bank, I think, is going to dictate. Tap Key is going to be stalking. You look at other horses, Intrepid Citizen, he's kind of a closer. The inside post might help him get a little bit closer to the pace. Barney Rebel, big-time closer. Legendary King, big-time closer. So I'm just going with horses that are tactical here.
The X factor, I think, is Buckingham Lane. Hopefully he can stay out of that early picture. I hope they don't send from down inside. They may be a fly in the ointment. But, Open the Bank, I'll take the shot. Barney Rebel's a horse in the past. He had a brutal trip 2 races back. He got shuffled back pretty hard leaving the far turn. The shorter distance concerns me, but he has been able to make runs in the past into lone speeds and sustain it. So I'm going to also throw him into the mix. Intrepid Citizen, he's going to get a great trip again. He just kind of spun his wheels last time, went wide against the pace. He's going to be down inside. He just kind of churns along, grinds along. I think he falls in for a piece. I don't know if he wins it, but he'll be in the mix late.
He does seem like one that needs a little bit to go his way in order to win, and kind of a pace meltdown. I don't know if that's going to happen today. We get to the 7th race to kick off the 50-cent late pick 5, and as I said, the early pick 5 we kept it around $60. Late pick 5, 75.
Okay.
I could not get any lower, and best of luck to you.
Ask for a raise. I can't even afford these tickets. No, I'm just kidding you.
I even found a single, Keith.
Oh no, again.
I even found a single.
Okay.
Capuchin. I'm going
right.
to try to, I tried to single this, or I did single this horse last time out. That failed. So we're going to go back to the well today, and hopefully he delivers. We're going to be using plenty of horses to start us off, though. The 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with the 3, with the 1, 3, 6, 9, 14 jaws and off the also eligible. I think that horse is a must use. We have the 2, 7, 9 with the 3, 8. The last race, I feel like you either like 1 or 2 horses, or you have to just use all of them because it's just an absolute crapshoot. I'm curious to see your late pick 4 ticket, but we start things off here with this 7th maiden $25,000 event, 5.5 furlongs on the main track, Scratch the 1, and the 11 Angel Cruise on the 4 Pink Cashmere. And I think beyond, the legitimate horses like Lala Bamba, Holiday Magic, these horses, someone might just pop up and like a crazy horse. Maybe the 4 Pink Cashmere, Benny Perkins is kind of sneaky. That's why this race kind of scares me.
Yeah, you look at Perkins, maiden special weight, the maiden claiming, a smaller sample, but at a high rate and a good return on investment. But we know the internals at Monmouth, they got a pretty good run up there at the 6 furlongs. I don't see her being a ton faster than Holiday Magician or La La Bamba. I go for a firster in here. Ham Smith, king of the maiden claiming 2-year-old firsters or the 3 and up. I mean, they spot their horses right. Out of a mare who hasn't had a real big amount of success. I think the 3 foals have combined to go for like 2 for 80. But that was, those foals were by kind of an obscure sire. We got Patio Prado who's showing he can get horses to run on the dirt. The steady workouts, 102 and 3, 102 breezing over this course might be good enough against a suspect. Holiday Magician and La La Bamba had no excuses last time. I really like both of them to be right there, and they let me down. So I can't go back to them.
I agree with you. I do think this race might have come up a little bit easier than what they faced last time out. I know I wouldn't say it's a huge drop in class from maiden 40 to maiden 25, But when you look at Phantom Shot, some other horses in there, and then you look at this field, I think it's a little bit mediocre than last time out. The Lila Bamba, is she going to go again? Is she going to show an ability to rate? She is a tough one to like, but I will take a shot with her. I like the outside post, and I think she will show that rating gear, or at least that pressing gear to the outside. We also have the 9 Late Night Kiss, who I will be using for Gary Contessa, who drops in out of a maiden $50,000 event. We saw Rello Rocks win that race. She came back to win the Grade 3 Matron for Rudy Rodriguez off the claim. So that was a tough race, but she obviously is going to have to improve from there.
Yeah, so it's hit the all button if you can again in this race. You can pretty much make a case for anybody. Goldberg's laying one in for 25. He's got a guy that usually wins in this kind of a situation. I'm going to use Jamie Ness, the 6, Our First Candy, a horse that ran. I went back and watched that video this morning. Ran pretty good, had natural gate speed, was just kind of in a tough spot in between horses into the turn, took back. And I like how she handled the kick back through the stretch and everything. Some horses were all there kicking it back, and she didn't really mind it. I mean, she shifted out late, kept on trying. Not a real fast race. Didn't like the turf last time at all, it looks like. Didn't fire. I think the reversion back to the dirt is good, and we know Ness. I know he's been a little bit cold, but very strong, turf to dirt.
Definitely. Let's get to the 8th race, the Kelso at the Flat Mile for the starter optional claimer, and we'll start things off with your late pick 4 ticket.
Let's take a look.
No singles.
No, I'm just running my 3 picks out of each race because I could create something about 500-600 here and not even think twice about it. That's how tough this sequence. 3 by 3 by 3 by 3, pretty simple there. I know you've got a single in Capuchin. Once again, I've chased her. She's let the bettors down at $1.30 to 1, 2 straight races. Throwing a little bit of a price. I think the flow is going to be a little bit better. Maybe Beaches and Bourbon at a bigger price. The 9th race, I think both favorites are suspect. Stormnet, interesting moves, protecting and stepping back up for Leatherberry here. I think it's an interesting user at a big price. Race 10. All right, which Connemara Coast shows up, we don't know. I think Gourmet Delight does come in, right? Gourmet Delight.
Yep.
I like this horse. I think this horse will bounce back to a good effort. And 3 in the last, if you could hit the all button, as Gabby said, that's how tough race 11 is.
All right, let's get to a replay of your favorite in here, Capuchin. And again, Trevor McCarthy off all of his mounts today. Forest Boys will pick up the mount on the favorite in race 8. But you know, you look at Capuchin, when she stretched out on the turf against this type of condition 2 starts back, she drew the rails. They were aggressive with her and sending her from the gate. She seemed to kind of tuck her out a little bit and head backwards. I thought it was visually a stronger race when they took back with her. Trevor McCarthy with a really excellent ride and trying to close from off of it. So I like the versatility that this filly has shown in her past 2 starts in her capability of showing speed and rating. But does she have a little, I won't say she has a hang in her because it was a good turf. They went a slow pace. There are things that you could probably conjure from that last race. I just don't really like anybody else in the race.
I can agree. I mean, she is the horse to beat. Cavort, who I have a 2 to 1 more than my favorite. These 2 could flip-flop, I think. Off a long layoff, dropping out get some better horses. But Shepherd, he's 1 for 42 the last 2 years. 1 for 42. Yeah, last 2 years at Laurel. It's tough. Only 12 of them in the money. So she's going to be a shorter price. Capuchin will get good flow again. There's speed doing the Watusi. She's dynamite. The blinkers go back on. You saw her down to the inside, really trying late. But Capuchin was definitely hindered. It was a slower pace last time. She'll have a sharper run. But I think Beaches and Bourbon may have the best follow through. Really hampered by extremely wide trip every step of the way against the same company. I think this horse can bounce back. And it just offers the best value, I think, in this race.
And it was a slow pace, obviously. The turf was rated as good that day. I think she probably prefers a turf hedging more towards firm as well. She has some experience on a softer turf in the past, so that could perhaps move her up too. I think she's a very legitimate long shot in that race. Let's get to the 9th race on the card, heading out to the 4th. Marcy, a mile and a 16th for this $35,000 claimer. I completely agree with you in that the 2 favorites in here in the 9 Hirschbein at 5 to 2 and Enjoy the Show at 9 to 5. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Right.
Going somewhere else.
Yeah, from out there. And first I'll talk a little bit about the 3. Stormnet didn't run a step, ground a little bit softer last time. Don't know. But what happened there? The horse got pounded down. Maybe something just went awry because this horse is back in for 30. Interesting move. The two-back tries were very good. He's tactical enough. He can sit close into a race that really doesn't have any definitive speed types, except maybe Steel Sky. And I like the way this horse is racing back into shape. This barn, they do good enough work with their horses. They spot them okay. The race last fall, this time of year at Laurel, really, really good. You see beating Wild Woohoo. That's a good field. This horse was dead game last time out. Maybe still on the better part of the track last time out, but really game. I think he's back to hit maybe his best race in a long while. Steel Sky.
That is, I agree with you, the 6 Steel Sky. And this is a horse who I think last time out, obviously he's just been a horse that's been in excellent form lately. He transitioned his form nicely to the Muddy Seal track last time out against How's Your Sugar. He is tactical. I like Stormnet in here, although Stormnet looks like a horse that really prefers a hot pace to run into. As you look at his race on the 9th of September, he did get that really fast fractions. He went 22 and 4, 46 and 4 for a mile and a 16th, and he closed well. I don't know if he's going to get that setup. And I also kind of like the one, Sean Diakia to the inside, now getting back to a preferred surface. I think with this horse, they've got to go because there's not a tremendous amount of pace, and he does have a little bit of natural speed.
He does. He raced pretty close, running in the Vale with speed tight, flattened a little bit. Fair sound. He's had a couple blow-up horses on the turf.
With Fergal.
Yeah.
Their
Oh,
ROI
yeah,
is
that's
crazy.
right. Yeah, their ROI's got to be nuts.
Almost $15.
Oh, wow. That's huge. And like I say, Hirschbein, interesting, comes in some New York bred form. Already won an allowance, a state bred race. Going to get pounded because of Dickinson, no doubt about it. But he's out there, not a real kind of a sharp type of runner. We'll see, and enjoy the show. He just burned everybody's pockets. No,
he really
he wins,
has.
I lose. That's it.
I echo that because I even kicked him out of my late pick 5. So if he wins, I definitely lose. But I was on his bandwagon for a couple of starts, and he burned me, so I'm off of him here today. We get to the 10th race, so the first half of the late daily double, a mile and 16th for our feature race of the day, a nice 2 other than allowance optional claimer. And there are questions with this race. Name changer, 3-year-old, hasn't been seen since early September, obviously competed against elders in the past. He beat older company at Parks when he faced that allowance a few starts ago. So he's capable of doing it. He looks like a legitimate contender. We have Sea Raven in here. And as you alluded to earlier, Connemare Coast, which one of him is going to show up?
We don't know. I mean, that two-back race was just freakish. That's all you can really describe. Beat a good field, did it handily, then shows up. An interesting move, turning back in distance to the 7/8 and the slop. Didn't like it one bit. Not a ton of speed in here. Will he go ahead and go and force the issue down inside? I'm going to work towards the outside. Gourmet Delight, I think, is a horse that ran really big, jumping in condition, 2 back after a win against Divining Rod, a horse who had a promising career. I think he was won the Lexington Stakes, 3rd in the Preakness. Gourmet Delight in a race, once again, not a ton of quality speed. He can get into position even from out there and stalk and make a move into it. And he'll fight you. I'm going to throw out the last race when down inside of Parks.
Okay, the 7 Sea Raven, you don't really respect in here, but I do think could take another step forward off of that race last time out going against John Jones. John Jones, of course, has been in really impeccable form lately. The blinkers go on to perhaps make this horse a little bit more forward early, but I think the stretch out to 2 turns finally from a couple 1-turn miles here at Laurel is really going to help him.
Yeah, it's an interesting move for this horse. I mean, John Jones, there was some good speed up front. John Jones, and they just kicked away. This horse made a decent looping move. 7 wide. Now the blinkers go on. He was up a little closer, 2 back and flattened. He looks like a tricky horse to ride. You got to time the run just right. At 2 turns, I want to see one race over this course.
Okay, that's a very contentious field there. I thought tough, and when you're looking at those multi-race sequences too, because you can make a case for several, and then sometimes they just go in and out of form. Even your top selection, he ran so well against Divining Rod. He came back with a dud performance at Parks, but perhaps with excuse. So you really have to do some digging in that race to dwindle your ticket down
what's
a
the
little
question?
bit.
Is a horse I'm going to throw in the mix. He really doesn't, run a bad race ever. I mean, he's just always right there. He's going to sit a really, really good trip in here. Just Jack, we thought was going to run a little bit better last time out in the Classic, but he's just as steady as they come.
Okay, let's cap things off with the 11th and final race on the card. We head out to the Kelso at at 5.5 furlongs for this maiden $16,000 event. I'm sticking to 2 horses in here. in terms of the late pick 5. The 8 Triple Black Jack is the horse I give preference to, and simple enough, Keith. He ran very credible races against Maiden Special Weight Company. He ran on the dirt last time out with excuse. I don't think that's his preferred surface. Now coming back to the right surface and taking a big drop in class.
Yeah, he needs to wake up. I think the turf is going to be the deal. Acting up behind the gate, in the gate last time out, I thought he was going to run a little bit better. Didn't run well at all. But yeah, his 2 turf races are good enough to win this, and this is going to be enough. I think. I mean, he's going to get good speed to run it inside. He'll stalk. I wish it was 5.5. May have a touch of flatten in him. But Campitelli, he's had a decent ROI with this kind of move. The barn needs to start winning. They're usually accustomed to win a little bit more. No knock raid. Do you like the 1?
We can use the 1.
Yeah.
I just don't know what he's doing from the rail because there's faster horses to his outside, and this just seems like a horse that has been capable of getting into trouble without the rail post position in the past. So what is he going to do today? It's just a tough post for a closing sprinter.
It is, no doubt about it. He's got to hope that the 2, the 3, and the 4 kind of maybe run away from him a little bit, and then he can just make a steady progression around the turn. That's the toughest part for these riders. They're down inside with one of those kind of tweener type of horses.
Yeah.
It's do or die by the time you're about 1/8 of a mile into the race. You've got to make the right kind of decision. I think he's going to get a good enough flow. I think he's going to be able to draft enough. He's not a real keen horse early. I think he'll be able to draft up into the contention by the time the field hits the head of the stretch.
Okay, I like the 3 Spiteshill. This horse is bred for the turf. He's by Spitestown. I mean, it's the Spitestowns can really run on anything, though. He has 1 previous experience on the turf, but I think you can give him the benefit of the doubt because that was going 7.5 furlongs. That's a 2-turn race down at Gulfstream. He looks like a true sprinter, so I will go back to him just to use him with just using the 3 and the 8 in the final leg of the sequence. Just thinking that no knock raid, he might, although on paper he is very competitive against this field, that might just hinder him enough.
It could, yeah. I stuck with pretty much that. I went 3 deep in my late pick for the 1, 2, and 8. The 1 and 8 just key up against the better horses. We know what Joseph would do to this field if he were in it. So the 2, just a new shooter. Indigo Shiners, I've seen him transition to the turf. He hasn't proven he can't run on it. That's why he's going to get thrown into the mix.
That's always good.
Yeah.
He can't. He hasn't proven he can't do it. So
We'll give
there's
him one
always
shot.
that question.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here on Today at the Races. That's 11 races. We have a Rainbow Six carryover that starts in the 6th race. That's over $3,000. We're going to take some time away. Dave Rodman will be up next with Scratches and Changes. And, of course, Dan Salter will join me throughout this 11-race program. Best of luck today.
Good luck.